I guess I want to touch the whole world with my music, but in the way that I want to touch people's hearts so that they can open up their hearts and open up their hearts to themselves to start with. That would be the big thing. So all the music that I do now, that's the purpose, opening hearts. And to do that, I guess I have to get into my passion of why I actually write the music. That's a big question, passion. We talk about needing passion to really live properly in life, to have passion for something. And that's what we're going to do as our career, because that's our passion. And people often ask me about that. And I can remember back when I was a teenager, and I guess I had passion for the music because on Saturday afternoons, Saturday for actually most of the day, I was alone at home. My mother was off with my sister at the ballet lessons, so I had the whole day to myself. And I could have been out on the bicycle, I could have been out playing football, I could have been out playing hockey in the winter, skating, but no, I was sitting at my piano and I just loved it, and I would play for hours non-stop. That was my passion, and I lost sense of time. Sometimes I would take a break and I would watch the Saturday afternoon wrestling on TV, which was kind of crazy because it wasn't really violence then, it was acting, and you know, the wrestlers were doing their funny things. And I would sit and eat a box of 6 raspberry tarts, and then I could play the piano all afternoon again. And for me, I was not practicing my pieces in particular. I wasn't practicing my classical pieces for my lessons. I was just playing and playing and playing, and the music was just pouring out. I was making up pieces then. At that point, I didn't see myself as, wow, I'm composing music, particularly. I was just playing and it was pouring out. And that's the way it is today too. The music just pours out. I don't have to sit there and take hours to compose something. I will perfect something that way, but I don't have to take hours to do it. The music pours out. And that's always been my passion. My inspiration very much comes from nature, from connecting with nature. And when I connect with nature, I realize there's so much more, and I have that need to capture that energy and interpret it into music. It doesn't mean that I want to capture the sound of waterfalls or birds and put it in music. It's what's behind that whole thing about the magnificence of nature, the magnificence of the universe. And that gets to the point of where do the ideas come from for the actual music. It comes from that space that is not three-dimensional. And maybe that space that some people call their spiritual self, or other dimensions. My piano teachers, my last piano teacher I had, the one that I studied concertos with, her husband was architect and he was an inventor, but he claimed that he was an atheist, that there was only this three-dimensional world. And I said to him, where do your ideas come from? Well, that's very easy. I just fall asleep at night, or not even at night. I just have to make something, so I'll fall asleep for a few minutes, and when I wake up, I have the idea. This happens to me, but I don't have to fall asleep. I connect to that place where maybe most people would when they fall asleep, that dream world, the ideas pour through. But there's always ideas pouring through with me. I have to be sort of selective in the music that I hear coming into my head, because it's 90% of the time I'm awake, there's some sort of music going through there. And when I hear it, and I go to the piano, and I start playing some of it, then I really get inspired because I'm not hearing just the piano. It's almost frustrating because I'm hearing this whole orchestra and I'm thinking, why didn't God give me 4 hands instead of 2? Because I need, sometimes I can't play what I hear. But that's inspiration there to push me on to sit down and actually orchestrate the piece and bring it into creation of what I actually hear there. My intent is to help people feel wonderful to start with. All the music I write, whether it's fast or slow, I want people to feel that joy in themselves and to be happy with themselves. I want to touch their hearts. I want to even take it further, where it gets them into a state of mind or consciousness where they open up to other possibilities, other than this is just a 3D world and 2 and 2 is 4. I want to have the music help people, what we would call, step outside the box. Because when you step outside the box, you're not limited by what you've learned or what you've been programmed for in your life. Then you can start getting into what your dream is and becoming that dream. That's what I want to do with the music. Why did I choose being a musician? Yeah, I don't think I ever thought about that. You know, that I was going to choose to be a musician. And I was so tiny, and my grandmother had a piano, and when I was, I don't know, 1.5 or 2, she was teaching me how to play pieces on the piano, so it just became part of my life. And I wasn't privileged enough to have the piano at my house then, when I was so tiny. But when I'd go over to my grandmother's house, she would play, and my grandfather also played, and so I was fascinated with that, and I always played. When I was 9 years old, I remember this, my grandmother saying to me that she would give me her piano if I would take real piano lessons. She was not able to have many piano lessons as a child. She had, I think, 1 piano lesson. And before she had a piano, she would draw a picture of the keys on the table, and she would pretend she was practicing. So I know that when she gave me her piano, that was almost a sacrifice for her. But she knew that I guess she knew I had some talent there, and she really wanted me to take advantage of that. So when I was 9, and my parents, I guess, had the money for me they could afford sending me for piano lessons. And that's when I really started to, wow, love the piano, play it night and day. So I just was always a musician. When I was a child too, I was actually very good at drawing and painting. And I could do it as well as the music. And I loved both. And for me, both of them it was part of the same creativity coming through me. It was when I got to the end of high school that I actually had to make that choice. You know, was I going to just always play the piano, or was I going to go further with it? Or was I going to do the graphic arts? And I thought at that point I could learn more studying the music. I could always draw anything I wanted, so that was easy. But I knew from hearing symphonic orchestras and from hearing bands and hearing great compositions that I wanted to really expand my vocabulary of technique. And so I decided to go to university and study music. And music's always been my life. I've never had a job really other than, as an adult, other than music. And it's not a job. It's a passion. It's a passion in life. Yeah, it is my life. The real Robert is normal person, I hope. But the real Robert is someone who loves to meditate, who loves to expand his mind. I've always had this passion to read books, but not really novels. I wouldn't sit down. The only novels I had ever read were Agatha Christie novels, but I'd be reading books about different levels of consciousness, about how to change this in your life, do that. Or I would be reading books about archaeology, what happened with the pyramids, Machu Picchu, Easter Island. And I've always been really connected with nature. That's a big thing for me. Connecting with nature, and as a teenager I loved having gardens and growing things, and I'd end up being amazed by what would happen. You know, instead of growing normal potatoes, they would be extra big. And I always wondered, is it because I loved them so much that they grew big for me? I love going into the forest. I love hugging trees. And the last 7-8 years I've been having this passion of studying Qigong, which is energy movement through the body for health, for vitality, but it connects you to other levels of consciousness. And I think that's helped me a lot. It's helped me a lot. Actually, since I've been doing that, I've been working better on stage even, because I have that more sense of the energy feel. I guess as most artists, I'm passionate about things. And the one challenge for most artists is to have a relatively peaceful, smooth life within the self. Because you, as an artist, can go to such extremes. You know, go to the extreme of happiness to the extreme of sadness, and up and down like that. And maybe you need that to be able to create those pieces of art. It's interesting how people say to me, "Oh, you write such relaxing music. You must be so relaxed." And if they only knew why I really wrote that music. It was probably through a need to learn how to relax myself. And that's, I think, how I was able to realize how the music worked, and realize the need of most people that are stressed, because I went through the whole stress thing. Interesting, isn't it? You write what helps you, and hopefully it'll help the others that have gone through the same roads that you've gone through, of, you know, the struggles. You know, they say you Well, the wrinkles you have on your face, you really worked for them, you know? You work hard to create that passion. And that's the real Robert Coxon is a big bag of passion, I guess. That's it. Yes, there is new music coming through. I'm very passionately excited about some new ideas I want to put down. One of them is revisiting the silent path, because that touched so many people in the world. And from what I hear from people, it seems to, for them, radiate love. They feel love when they listen to that music. So, since I've been making a study of love and opening the heart and love for the self, I've been working on that. I think I want to now take that level of love and do a more profound interpretation of it in the music, so that people can really start loving themselves. That's one project. Another one would be a second mental clarity, not just the long note, but going to a deeper level, taking something that'll create even more magic with the people. And then a third project, another album with piano, maybe a few other little instruments here and there, but basically piano, since that's my instrument. But this one based on passion and compassion, but the joy that goes with creating passion and compassion, of living compassion and compassion. We can see some of this coming forth in 2014. Great year. It's a number 7 year, which means creating a balance between the spiritual and the physical life. And this is what I want